4 haunts in 4 days. Tonight we begin our Halloween special report introducing you to some of Cape Fear's most haunted places.
That's right, WECT's Casey Roman live in downtown Wilmington on a block of 4th Street that's home to not one but 2 restless souls. Tell us about it, Casey.
Yeah, John, 2 neighboring souls. Actually, this whole area has a pretty morbid history. Residents here tell me that this is the site where bodies were held when yellow fever was ripping through Wilmington so many years ago. Now, of course, the people who live here also say that 2 of those former residents refuse to leave.
Time has all but worn away the final markings on the tombstones behind St. James Episcopal Church, making it now impossible to find the resting place of a man who should never have been there in the first place.
There wasn't much medical science, so if you took like a really heavy nap and had like a really light heartbeat, you could go to bed and then wake up in a box.
In the early 1800s, the quicker into the ground, the better. At least that was the case for Samuel Jocelyn, who took off one morning on his horse and was later found unresponsive, laying in an icy swamp.
They were assuming he had been sitting decomposing for about 2 days.
Pronounced dead, put into a casket packed 6 feet into the ground, only to appear days later.
His friend Alexander awoke in a dimly lit room to find his friend standing at the foot of his bed.
It happened night after night. The ghost of Samuel telling his friend that he was still alive when they closed the coffin. Deranged with grief, Alexander was determined to settle his growing insanity.
The only way to be absolutely sure was come to unearth Samuel's body.
When he cracked open Samuel's coffin,
They found him with torn up fingers with his bones exposed, a look of horror on his face, sitting in his own blood. They then looked at the lid of the coffin to find that all the lining had been completely torn out. He died while buried alive in absolute terror, trying to claw his way out.
absolute terror. Perhaps the same expression seen just across the street when the ghost of Emma Baldwin started pushing people down the stairs more than 100 years later.
Some things just don't have a logical answer.
Hattie Haynes has just moved into the Baldwin home and was actually looking forward to meeting her new poltergeist roommate. Here, Emma and Andrew Baldwin, a dentist, built their beautiful home that she would never leave.
Me and my mom are pretty sure there was something here, so we kind of admitted and, said, hi, I know you're here. Occasionally, I might just catch myself talking to her or something.
Initially, new owners found whole human teeth around the house, remnants, they thought, of a long-gone dental practice. Then times changed, and unmarried couples started moving in, something the pious Emma would not tolerate.
He actually supposedly shoved some people down the stairs, broke stuff in the house all the time, and would make very loud, disturbing noises to let people know that she was there.
It might be worth mentioning that this type of narrow winding staircase no longer meets code requirements due to the high risk of falling. But since such information might completely ruin a good ghost story, we will move right along. A family in the 90s finally made peace.
And one of the first things they did is let Emma know they were moving in and would love to have her be part of their family.
Since then, Emma has left dimes throughout, each with dates significant to the finder's life, like the pair Hattie found waiting for her on the windowsill.
Someone could have just left it there maybe, but I doubt it.
Do you doubt the dead of Wilmington? Those who don't would caution you against seeking out restless souls, because at least on this street, wish for a ghostly experience and you have no idea just what kind of experience you may get.
Well, apparently, around midnight, you can sometimes still hear Samuel back there screaming in his coffin. Being buried alive was not entirely unheard of. Well, because of all the lacking medical intervention and technology. So some families would actually bury their loved one with a string attached to their foot and up to a bell, and then they'd hire somebody else to stand out here and wait to see if they woke up and started sounding the alarm. It's where we get the terms graveyard shift and dead ringer. So at the Baldwin home, the family who's moved in there, they love Halloween and are hoping for a really big turnout of trick-or-treaters. So add this block to your route and be sure to say hi to Emma when you stop by. Reporting live in downtown Wilmington, Casey Roman, WECT News. Fran and John.
Ghost story.
Gee, thanks, Casey. I won't sleep tonight.
I never knew that's where graveyard shift came
I
from.
didn't either, and dead ringer.
Yeah, I never knew either one.
Yeah, so we learned something.
And also learned that parts of Wilmington are pretty scary.
Also learned those are some brave folks living with Emma. Would you live with Emma? Would you stay there?
No. I think I'd be one of those who may have been scared out of the house.
Yeah, when I saw those coins, bye,
See ya.
out.
Our tour of the most haunted places in the Cape Fear area continues tonight with a downtown Wilmington haunt that is literally haunted.
WECT's Casey Roman is at Front Street Brewery to introduce us to their spookiest patron. Casey?
That's all right, Fran. We are in literally the underbelly of Front Street Brewery. This is where they store a lot of their beer and where their ghost sometimes likes to make himself known. Well, this was the late 1800s. I'd actually be standing in a department store, and just above me, we might have seen a man named Henry walk through the doors of the very place that he would be spending eternity in.
Every winter, the first pint of Henry's Hell's Bach beer is poured and left on the bar at Front Street Brewery. A small token of affection for the dead man who doesn't want to ever close down his tab.
Henry is our local ghost here at the brewery. His last name is Wenzel.
In 1895, Henry Wenzel, a German immigrant, was busy painting the inside of the light well.
He lost his footing and fell straight down, landed on the cash register on the bottom floor, snapping his neck.
Henry disappeared into history's oblivion until Front Street Brewery opened up in the very spot he took his last breath.
The bartenders late at night always said that weird stuff would happen on the third floor, and I never bought into it.
Until Henry and head brewer Kevin Kozak crossed paths. At around 7 a.m., Kevin was busy in his office deep inside the basement when he noticed through the window that he had a visitor.
Somebody came towards it and came through the door and walked past me out of the corner of my eye, and I thought it was my general manager. So I said, "Hey, what's up, Chris?" And there was no answer, and I thought maybe he just snuck to the back room and he was going to scare me. So I crept back there to try to get him, and there was nobody back there, and then I tried to be a man about it, and then I immediately ran up the stairs.
That someone was dressed all in gray. Something like a painter's uniform.
It really actually kind of creeped me out, made the hair stand up on the back of my head for sure.
To be fair, as a brewer, Kevin has to drink on the job, perhaps the cause of his ghostly and completely imaginary encounter.
It was 7 or 8 in the morning, and I usually don't start drinking until
Until much, much later, he assured us. His stone-cold sober coworkers have also met the ghost of Henry, who likes to suddenly open the elevator gate.
I figured they could exist, but since I never saw one, they didn't exist to me. And they definitely exist to me now.
So Kevin dutifully pours that pint every year, ensuring Henry stays happy at the bar, and preferably stays away from his basement office.
All right, so why did Henry completely vacate with no reported hauntings until Front Street Brewery moved in? Well, the staff here thinks it's because he was once an employee of the Palmetto Brewing Company in South Carolina, now long gone, and he was just waiting for something familiar and comfortable to move in before he could start creeping out the living. Reporting live in a haunted basement, Casey Roman, WECT News. Fran and John.
All right, Casey, another great story.